What is up, guys? It is your boy Jarr, back here with the GBA. Well, not really back. I've been in like 2 videos maximum, but I am joined by...
What's going on, everyone? Rob here, and we are doing the Power Rankings videos this season for the Power Rankings.
Yeah,
Not
the double
repetitive.
power rankings really exemplified that. But yeah, so we are doing your power rankings this season, and we're going to start off with week 0, but we're doing something a little bit different this time around. So what we've done in the past is try and power rank the teams at week 0, but that's not really working out because we're not supposed to take the coach into consideration when we're doing that. So we just decided that, hey, let's look at the teams, look at how the coach is drafted, not take the coach into account at all, and just give the team on its own a letter ranking. So that's what we're going to be doing. Rob, you're a returning analyst, so I'm kind of the newbie here. So what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. We're, like you said, we're doing the letter thing. However, I took steps and advanced, and by that I mean I took steps backwards and have yet to do my letter rankings, and I have a reason for this. Okay, the reason being that it's kind of hard to just judge it based on your own knowledge. So I'm gonna bounce it off some ideas with you. We're gonna talk about the teams, then I'll give my rankings, compared to yours.
Yeah, and since I'm a cocky asshole, I have all my rankings pre-done, so we'll be fine. So, but yeah, how we're gonna do this is we're gonna just go in the draft order from who got the first pick to who got the last pick, and talk about the teams in that order. So that leads us to talk about Tom first, I believe.
Tom, yes, this will be the first draft pick.
The San Jose Sharpedas. So let's just go. Yeah, Rob, you want to go over their team real fast?
Yes, this team actually reminds me a lot of Nebraska, actually.
The fuck does that mean, you asshole?
That I forgot it existed, so...
Oh, God. It hurts because it's true.
Okay, there is... Tom drafted Celesteela, Thunderous Therian, Nidoqueen, Vaporeon, Porygon 2, Azelf, Hitmonlee, Zygarde, Dogform, Incineroar, Lurantis,
close though, close.
And Rabombi, and that is his team this season.
Alright, so, do you want me to just go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so I gave this team a C+ off the start, and I have a few reasons for that. This team kind of gives me mixed feelings, because as a stall player, which I'm an asshole, yes, but I freaking love it, alright? He drafted around P2 really well. He's got basically Scarm Bliss with P2 Celesteela, a great Cleric and Toxic Catcher in Vape, and a Toxic Catcher also in Nidoqueen. He's got decent hazard setters. His core is very powerful, but there is one reason this team just falls short for me, and that is the offense on this team is just so subpar in my opinion. He's got like one good Mon in Thunderous Therian, which may be, albeit, one of the best offensive Mons in format. However, his hazard removal is very, very subpar, again, with no spin blocker or Defiant user. His only other 2 Mons with the above base 120 base stat in an offensive category are Azelf and Hitmonlee, which are so frail that Vape can't even wish past to them and support them as well as they could be. I've used both of them in format. Azelf dies to any 2 hits, Hitmonlee dies to any 1 hit on the physical side, and even if Zygarde Doggo has the most spammable move in the game, it just is base 100, so you're going to find it run banded most weeks, which just becomes predictable at that point. The main way I could see Tom winning a lot of games this season is if he just embraces the asshole of being a stall player. I really think that's what he's got to do, because I just don't really see the synergy offensively between his offensive Mons, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see. I mean, like, he's going to have some hard time breaking through walls. Some problems I see is Hitmonlee fills in way too many roles. Like, it's one of his 2 main hazard removals, that being Hitmonlee and Lurantis, both spinners.
I didn't even know Lurantis got spin. Are you sure? Are you sure you're not thinking of Serena?
It might get defogged then.
Ah, okay. I think you're thinking of Serena,
some sort of removal. Yeah, but it's also like one of his main wall breakers with the most, with the most power on his team.
Yeah, Reckless High Jump Kick is not easy to switch into.
Which is going to kind of be hard balancing those 2 throughout the season, but I'm sure he'll figure it out if he has to bring Lurantis to like every single game. Also, another problem I see is with Nidoqueen also filling out maybe 1 too many roles. It's his hazard setter. It looked like It could be also his wall breaker.
Yeah.
Maybe even another one of his walls. It's just, it has a lot of roles to fit in this season. But besides that, I think Azelf is going to be a really great Z-Mon. Great coverage. So, solid, really great speed as well. So,
see, that's actually one of the things I have a problem with this draft is that...
Really?
Yeah, he has one of the best, in my opinion, Z-Mon users in the format with Thundurus Therian. Like, nothing wants to take an Electrium Z Thunderbolt or Thunder even, from coming off base 145 special attack. Not to mention the Waterium Z Rain Dance set into Thunder Spam. I mean, it's just one of the best Z-Mons in the format, in my opinion. So, going with
I don't know,
Azelf...
I think Azelf would be like a better... it has the coverage on both sides. And it's really unpredictable, although it is one of his 2 hazard options, so another reason Nidoqueen might get a little bit overworked this season.
Yeah, I could definitely see him overworking his Nidoqueen a lot. It's very pivotal to this team. Another thing that's pivotal to this team is Celesteela in P2. Now, while Celesteela is considered one of the best new Mons coming out of Gen 7, I've used it, I've helped people who've used it, and it's so amazing on paper, but sometimes it's just so rough to find the right set because it does so many things. And while that can be a good thing, it can also be a bad thing, lead to which set do I bring? Do I bring defensive or offensive? It actually creates kind of a downside to Celesteela in some aspects, almost like Infernape does to a little bit of some degree.
I thought Celesteela only had 3 moves. Leech Seed, Toxic, and Protect. What else do you need?
I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. If he embraces just, like, wish passing from Vape into those 2 of P2 Celesteela, he can win some games, I guarantee you, with just Thundurus and Hitmonlee and Azelf as his offense.
Yeah, that might actually be his way of winning.
I mean, don't look past it. I've ran stall in League format before. It works. I'm just going to say. It does.
So, yeah, it's a run-of-the-mill team. It's a Nebraska. It's just there.
You got to take shots at Nebraska all year, aren't you? But yeah, I see what you're saying. But yeah, the big thing for me is just offensively, it's not there, especially on the physically offensive side. I grant him Thundurus because I freaking love Thundurus. So I'll grant him, though, but I just don't see Hitmonlee, Zygarde, and Incineroar being able to carry the physical load that this team actually demands,
Yeah.
So that's why I gave it a C+. Rob, do your thing, evaluate, give me a letter grade.
You know what? I think I like it just a little bit more than you do. So I'll give it a C. Just, start me off right in the middle, and I can up
You realize
and
I
down.
gave it a C+, right?
Oh.
So you're an asshole.
Well,
That's what this
well,
means.
that's just awkward, then.
You're a dick is what this means, Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to just move on. We covered that one pretty well. Who had the second pick in the draft?
That would be Lars and the Borussia Donphan.
Is that how you pronounce it? I've been saying Borussia for the past, 4 seasons.
Borussia. No, it's Borussia Dortmund.
Oh,
Bro.
It's a
You
soccer
uncultured
team.
swine.
I live in America, Rob, where we don't watch soccer. But
right,
I'm gonna take this one because we share a few different opinions on this team.
Okay.
So Lars drafted Magearna, which is also his Zmon, Latias, Nihilego, Decidueye, Donphan, Lucario, Primarina, Rotom Heat, Mesprit, Tornadus Incarnate, and Crawdon. So, Rob, tell me your thoughts on Lars' team.
I like it. He has a solidly, his whole team is generally really bulky, although he does lack some recovery options. But besides that, he has some really solid cores, with Primarina, Rotom H, and Decidueye. Just really plus one of the best mons in the game. I'm assuming I haven't played too much Gen 7 League yet, but I've seen this just absolutely tear teams apart. That being Magearna, also his Z-Mon this season. Lots of hazard setters I see, Donphan, Mesprit, Nihilego. He just has a lot of options. I just see a lot of options with this team. Just to point it out, he has a massive amount of setup with Magearna, Latias, Lucario, Tornai, Crawdon. Just a lot of things, a lot of ways he can go with this team, honestly.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying. I had this team a little bit lower at first, but as you can see, I ended up giving it a B. So I originally had it a C+, B-, and that's just because of my inherent need to want to see 7 walls on a team. I'm the guy that drafts Chansey and Celesteela on the same team. But he's basically only got one wall that I can see in Latias. Rotom Heat is not a good wall in my opinion. It gets worn down by rocks, and it relies on Volt Switch to get out, so it's just going to be taking more rock hits.
How about Primarina?
It doesn't get recovery. That's the big thing for me. If one thing I saw that would have really helped Lars this draft was a Wish Passer. Something that could pass...
Yeah.
I mean, I love Wish Passing, and I think something that could have passed Fat Wishes into Magearna because of its just natural bulk. Rotom, Primarina, Donphan is great in Wish Passing. He's got Lottie, but I think Lottie is one of the worst Wish Passers in the game just because its bulk is not insane, and at the same time, it's... what do I want to say? It has a lot of moves, so wasting 2 move slots on Wish Protect honestly feels like a waste. But I got to give Lars credit. I looked over the team again. I just kept looking over it. I agree with you. Magearna is one of the best new Mons, probably the best new Mon in League-type format. He's got very, very good hazard removal. Like I said, I dislike Rotom Heat a lot in format. I've used it, and it always feels like it just gets worn down so easily with rocks up. But he did cover that. He did cover that pretty well. He's got very, very nice physical wall breaking in Lucario and Crawdont. Nihilego is a great special wall breaker along with Latias, and Magearna being one of the best. But the big thing that just dragged this team down for me so much was just his speed tiers. They're just I'm looking at it. His speed tiers,
yeah.
They're just not there. It's an extremely...
He doesn't have that one like really fast Mon, you know?
Yeah, he's got no Mon above base 115, and only 2 or 3, I think, above base 100, which is just crazy to me, because speed tiers help a team so much. They force your opponent to not run Adamant or Modest on their offensive threats. So,
well, what I will say about his speed tiers is they are at least consistent. He has good range on them, but they just don't go high enough.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't hit that. He doesn't have like that Weavile or that Tornadus Therian to just up his speed tiers. And since there's no Megas, there's not really a way to compensate for that. So I understand why there's a bit more of speed trouble in this specific generation we're playing in at the moment. But and that was one thing I also thought about, because I kept going back to this thing of if his team had a Wish Passer, it would be so good, because Magearna gets like 80% from almost every Wish Passer. So I found that Wish Passing works well with the kind of team Lars was going for, specifically like a bulkier offense in Latias, Magearna, Rotom Heat. I just feel like if he had a Wish Passer, I could bump him up even more. But just the lack of walls and speed, I can't go higher than a B in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I might agree with that letter grading. It's just he pretty much has everything. He has like 3 forms of priority. He has a bunch of Volt Turn. He has a lot of setup options. He has both of the cores you might look for. Fire, Water, Grass, Fire, Fairy, Dragon, Steel. He has both of those cores, which are nice to have. Like his speed tiers, that's where he kind of his speed tiers, and I don't know. I'm not sold on his wall breaking potential. Like all I really see that could do that would be, in my eye, Crawdont.
Oh, my dude, I have to disagree with you there. You haven't lived until you've seen a Lucario that's banded 2-shot your Hippowdon, and then you proceed to get swept. Lucario...
I guess it's just... Lucario's, like, it doesn't have that, like, 130 attack I'm looking for.
Yeah, I feel you.
But yeah, like, besides that, he has his removal and hazards, just plenty of those. It's just a solid team,
Yeah,
one thing I do want to ask you about is how do you think Magearna as a Z-Mon would be?
Oh my god, it's crazy. This is the best Mon in League format. It just is. Multiple forms of setup, decent but not great recovery and pain stip. But like I said, you pair it with a Wish Passer with its natural bulk. It's amazing. It gets such amazing coverage. Not to mention Fairy Z Floor Cannon, which becomes I think base like over 190. And yeah, I mean, it's so crazy. This thing can go physical or special. It gets Thunderbolt, Grass Knot. It's like coverage isn't insane, but it's all it needs because it's got one of the best typings in the game as well. I mean, it's crazy, my dude. This thing is impossible to plan for. One thing I will give him is that he actually drafted a decent Trick Room team.
He did. That is true.
I'll give him that. I mean, you got Donphan base 120 attack, Rotom and Crawdont and Magearna. I mean, that's a pretty scary Trick Room team with Magearna, but yeah. You got any other things you want to give Lars, or do you want to just grade him?
Hey, Lars, I'm going for the Borussia Donphan this season.
You already know who I'm rooting for, so.
So prove me right, Lars. You're gonna win this with a B team. I'll give you a B.
Ah, so you agree with me?
Yeah, I agree. You know,
You're kind of being the pessimistic one when I'm supposed to be the asshole here. So I'm sure. Let's go with that.
It's that team.
Who's next, Rob? You take the next one.
Oh God.
Oh God, no.
Okay, so Jarrett, the next team is Steve. Now I'll say, okay, is this team not very good? Yes. But however, is this team bad?
Yeah.
Also yes.
Oh, Steve, I dislike your team so much. Oh, I can't handle it. I feel so bad, but like it's such a bad team.
It's tragic, okay?
He drafted the Gen 7 team with a Cresselia.
He drafted the views, man.
I agree. Okay, so let me go first because I'm kind of an ass. I gave this team a D. This has the lowest ranking on all of my teams I picked. So, why, Jarr? Why are you such a prick? It has very little synergy overall, offensively and defensively. Both of his 2 walls that he has are weak to dark types, and he doesn't have a dark type switch-in. His first few picks are good, but they're not that good in league format. Xurkitree, I think he definitely should have gone with Kartana as a Zmon. Kartana is an excellent league format mon if it's a Zmon, but it's not. Xurkitree is a mediocre Zmon in my opinion.
I mean, all you have is that Z Hypnosis, pretty much.
Z Hypnosis, Z Electric Terrain are a few of the sets I know about. But yeah, I mean, I don't like Xurkitree that much, especially in the first round, I think, or was Kartana's first round pick? I'm pretty sure it was Xurkitree.
No, Xurkitree was.
Yeah,
Should we go over
Xurkitree.
his team really quick?
Yeah, we should probably do that before we just trash on him.
Okay, let me go ahead and say Xurkitree, Mimikyu, Kartana, Starmie, Cresselia, Kofrigrish, Lycanroc Dayform, the good one, Kumo, Mudsdale, Quagsire, and Zoroark.
Alright, so one thing I want to say is, as far as I've been told, Zoroark doesn't work anymore because it tells you if the moves are super effective or not in the touchscreen on DS. So if it's Zoroark in front of you and your opponent sees, wait a minute, why is Moonblast super effective versus this Cresselia? It might tip them off that that's not a Cresselia.
I mean, to be fair, that was his last round pick.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I've
it's
used
not
Zoroark.
a bad mon as a mon, you know?
I've used Zoroark. I've used it successfully, in my opinion, in league-type format. It is so good, but I
Is
just
it
don't see it.
successful even without the gimmick, though?
No, I don't think it is.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
It's so frail. Its wall-breaking potential entirely relies on the surprise factor and hitting it with surprise coverage. I mean, he's got good wall breakers. Xurkitree and Kartana have 2 of the highest base stats in the game, but they're just so
I don't consider
predictable.
Kartana a wall breaker, honestly. Just its lack
180
of
attack,
coverage.
go fuck yourself.
It doesn't have coverage.
It doesn't.
I mean, what are you breaking with grass and steel?
Yeah.
That's like resisted by the entire game.
It gets Night Slash.
Okay, go wall break with Night Slash, Jarrett.
Non-stabbed. But yeah.
Xurkitree is his wall breaker.
Basically, here's the few notes I have on Steve's team. It's very weak to Toxic Spam. All of his walls in Cresselia and Kofrigrigus hate Toxic.
I mean, he has Starmie.
Yeah, fuck Starmie. I've been cussing too much. I need to slow down. Starmie is mediocre defensively in League format. It's good offensively, not good defensively. But yeah, I need to slow down on the cussing a little bit. Mimikyu is great.
Shut the fuck up.
Rob, we're going to get kicked out so fast.
We are.
Mimikyu is great, but relatively one-dimensional, you know, SD. The coolest Mimikyu set I've ever seen was, like, Curse Infestation. Shout out, Trev.
God.
Good set. I went over Zoroark. I feel like, honestly, he just wanted to draft Gen 7 mons and was less worried about synergy.
Man. He's trolling us right now.
His wall breakers have a large speed gap. 6 of his 7 main offensive mons are between 85 and 110. And not to mention...
He has like a massive, just like a giant speed gap between 30 and 85. It's just like,
yeah,
Jesus.
And then he doesn't get very high either because most of his mons get outsped by things that are 110, speed tie at 108, and 115 is his fastest mon in Lycanroc.
Yeah, like Zoroark was actually essential to his team.
Lycanroc is not good. It's got no coverage. He didn't draft Sand with it. But, I mean, it's a good taunt rock setter, but that's about it.
I have to say, his team, like, he lacks removal. Like, besides, you know, Starmie is his removal. I know Kartana gets removal, but, like, let's be honest. Starmie is his removal, but his team is not very weak to rock, so I'll give him that.
Yeah, I'll give him that. But, yeah, I don't see the synergy here. I really don't. The big thing, Steve, I'm going to give you a little bit of advice here. If you want to win some games this season, rest Cress. is amazing. It is my favorite set in format.
This is your team now.
People should expect I can just toxic it and we'll be good. But yeah, big thing with Steve. Most of his mons are one-dimensional from what I can see. They have one or two good sets, which makes him very, very predictable. But, Steve's an unpredictable guy. Maybe he'll prove us all wrong. So, I really hope you do, Steve. I really hope you do.
I just wanted to point out one more thing that I think his opponents probably already know this and will easily take advantage of this. He has 3 massive weaknesses to Dark, Fairy, and Ground of really no way of dealing with any of those.
But how many teams, Rob, have a Fairy and a Ground type?
And to an extent, even Grass, but he can deal with Grass more.
Yeah. So Rob, Steve, what are you going with on this one?
He has a lot of setup options, so there's that.
He does.
I'll go with the D.
All right. Yeah, I feel you.
That seems like the minimum grade here.
Yeah, you can't really give an F because then you're just a prick, but D, alright. So moving on. Ooh, okay, let me go over this one. Because I believe it's Gio and the San Francisco Gientais.
Go for it.
I gave this team an A. I love this team. This is one of my favorite teams in the draft. He's got Tapu Fini, Mence, Arcanine, Conkeldurr, Ferrothorn, Gengar, Bronzong, Heliolisk, Umbreon, Aerodactyl, and Gyarados. So that's Gio's team. So I love Gio's team. He filled out both of his Fairy Dragon Steel and Fire Water Grass cores so beautifully.
Yeah, his cores are impressive.
Oh my god, it's both defense and offense, paired with an amazing Wish Passing Mon and Umbreon, and Bronzong is also a very nice support option. Umbreon is underrated in League-type format, in my opinion. His speed tiers are solid from 130, 110, 108 to his base 100s. Multiple sweepers.
He has very solid speed tiers, I have to say.
Multiple sweepers in Gyarados, Mence. His hazard removal is maybe the most solid in the game in Tapu Fini. He just supports it so beautifully. I love the team. The one thing I will critique Gio on is he doesn't really have a wall breaker unless it's like Sheer Force, Life Orb, Conkeldurr.
Yeah, Conkeldurr, maybe Gengar, maybe Salamence will be.
Yeah,
mostly Conkeldurr though.
It's mostly about the coverage Mence gets. It's not even so much about the fact that because its base attack isn't actually super duper high, but this team. I mean, it just doesn't have that wall breaker, that thing that's just going to threaten things out right away.
Yeah, he might have to rely too much on Conkeldurr.
I could see him relying a little bit too much on Conkeldurr, but hey, Conkeldurr, if Gio can use it well, more power to him, my dude.
I mean, he has that clean triple Intimidate core.
Dude, you already know how I feel about Intimidate cores. They are on point. I think Mence is a great Z Crystal user, honestly. That was beautifully done.
Yep.
Its coverage is incredible. But yeah, I like he's got access to every hazard except Toxic Spikes, I believe, which, are just nice to have. He's got Fini for Defog. Aerodactyl and Fini for Defog, Mence even. I love Arcanine in format. Yeah, he just drafted a really, really good team.
I have a bit of a problem with his removal because he does have Ferrothorn, which, it can be used as a hazard stacker. He just doesn't have that spinner to go along with it,
Yeah, makes sense.
Which could be a problem. His team, I have to say, very bulky team. I can see bulky offense is probably what he's going for here.
You know how I love bulky offense,
And
Rob.
one thing I have to say is his team doesn't really work that well without a Pokemon he got really close to the end, and that's Aerodactyl. It really fills out a lot of those roles. It gives him another hazard setter. It gives him that second really viable remover. It gives him the speed
not
tier.
A bad wall.
I mean,
Mence is not a bad wall.
That's true. I'll take that back.
Everything is going to have ice coverage when you go up against this team. Just because Mence is always such a big threat, even though it doesn't hit the rest of the team very hard.
But yeah, Tapu Fini will be essential to his team this season. Also, I see.
I actually never really thought about this, but Fini Ferrothorn make just a tremendous core. They support each other so well. And I mean, he's not even that scared of fighting types. Like we said, Mence. The big one being Arcanine. You and I both know how good Arcanine can just be as a defensive monster.
Arcanine's dat boy.
It's one of your favorite walls in format.
It really is. I love Arcanine.
Yeah, so do you have any more notes for Gio, or are you ready to grade him?
Gio. He His
Yo.
team is nice. His team is nice.
It is. It's one of my favorite teams, like I said.
He doesn't. I guess he doesn't have Volt Turn. He has Heliolisk for Volt Turn.
He's got heal. It does both. So Volt Turn, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, solid, very solid team. What did you give it? What did you end up giving?
I gave it an A.
An A?
But the Volt Turn was what stopped me from the Volt Turn and the Wall Breaker is what stopped me from just giving this team an A+. I love everything else about it.
Yeah, I'll give it an. I mean, I have some teams that I really like coming up, so I'll give it an A-. I'll give it an A-.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. But we have one coming up you and I very heavily disagree on.
I don't. Okay, well,
You
we'll get to
don't get it. All right, you read it off since you love this team so much.
Okay, this next team, I'll just read the mons. I'll just read it. You guys take it in, okay? This is the Pittsburgh Pirattatas.
Pirattatas, I believe that's how it's pronounced.
From Tup, he has Tapu Koko, Scizor, Hydreigon, Tangrowth, Slowbro, Nidoking, Hitmontop, Chandelure, Blissey, Minior, and Cryogonal. That is his team. Now, Jarrett, I would
educate me, Rob. Educate me, please, by all means.
Jarrett, I would trust this team with my daughter's virginity.
Okay, that's too far, I think. That's a little too far.
I just don't see flaws, okay?
Yo, you know that, right? Little too far, but go ahead.
He has everything. He has like 10 wall break. No, he has like 5 wall breakers. He just has everything. Hydreigon has the coverage to be a Z-Mon.
Yeah.
He has slow walls, but Hitmontop really seals his like wall core together because he starts to develop a bit of a weakness there, but Hitmontop helps that so much. He has his Fire Water Dragon. He has his Fairy Dragon Steel. He has his
so
priority.
close.
He has Voltorn. He has his removal and hazards. He just has everything.
Yeah. Can I go?
Why am I wrong, Jarrett?
I gave this team a B-. First of all, and this is something I want to stress to anybody who's going to play League-type format, Tapu Koko is not a first-round pick. It is a solid second-round pick.
How is it not? It's going to be gone if you don't pick it first round.
That's because other people who don't understand think it's also a first-round pick.
Tapu Koko is good.
I don't like it that much, and there's a few reasons. I know with electric terrain it gets really strong. No, it's a good mon, but there are so many other great mons in format. I don't understand personally how Xurkitree and Koko went in the top 5 with everything that went after it. Koko gets good coverage. It can go mixed. It gets Roost, Calm Mind, all this stuff. It's not bad. I'm not saying Koko's a bad mon. I just don't think it's a first-round pick. I think there's so many better mons because this thing doesn't really qualify as a super wall breaker to me because you make a Spidef ground type with a Rindo Berry, you're going to catch it Grass Knotting and EQ it and knock it back. So I don't have a problem with Koko. I just don't think it's a first-round pick. The big thing for me with this team was his speed tiers. Rob, how many mons does he have that he's actually going to bring that are above base 100?
Yeah, he has the speed tiers.
No, he doesn't. He's got Koko at 130, Minwar only if it's in shields up, and I think maybe Cryogonal gets above 100, but he's not going to bring Cryogonal that often. Right. I love his defensive core, Blissey, Tangrowth, Slowbro. I love that core. I'm a stall player. I respect the ability to draft that core, but I just think his hazard removal isn't terrific. And honestly, he just drafted a lot of mons offensively that I know are not tremendous in League format. Like, Scizor is great, but its lack of bulk doesn't make it as good as Mega Scizor. It can be easily picked off with a fire move that they don't see coming. Hydreigon, it needs a Life Orb or a Specs to have its wall-breaking potential.
People are going to be worrying about that.
Yeah, I understand it's a Z-Mon. I don't like Hitmontop in format. I have
to say Hitmontop is like really essential to his he has a weakness in his he has like a dark weakness in his cores.
Knockoff spam is really good against him.
Knockoff spam, but Hitmontop kind of stops that, you know.
Yeah, I don't like Hitmontop. And the biggest thing for me was just he doesn't have good hazard setters. He's got Nidoking, which it basically has to be Sash to get up hazards just because it's so slow and not bulky.
I mean, Blissey. you know?
I agree with Blissey. I think he leans on Blissey a whole lot more than he should as his Spadefmon. That was a big thing for me.
I may have been overestimating this team on relook.
I think he leans on Blissey way too much as a Spadef monster, because nothing else on his team takes Spadef hits that I can see at all.
But Blissey is that mon, you know, and it really isn't that much of Hazard's fodder. I
just see this team getting blown back by a mixed attacker. I really do. That's all I can see when I look at this team. Because he leans on Blissey so much. I've used Blissey. It's fine. It's a great wish passer. I don't think this team really needed wish support, even though how much I love it. I don't think it was extremely necessary with the wall core he has. Yeah. It's his hazard removal is mediocre subpar. I think I said that, but Blissey, if you rely on it too much, it will get beat down. That's one thing I've discovered, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen to this team. Maybe Tup proves me wrong. I mean, you obviously see something special in the team. I give it a B-. I think it's an average team. I really do. And remember, a C is average, so I think it's a good team. I just don't think it's amazing.
All right, yeah. Now, I mean, looking back on it,
do not conform. Stand your ground.
I may have been over-exaggerating a bit, but I'll still give it an A. I mean, it's got what it needs.
If you think it's got everything, you think it's got everything. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'll give it an
A. You ready to move on? Because we're going into my favorite team in the draft.
Yeah, let's do it.
This team got an A+. It is the only team that got an A+, and it is John and the New Orleans Pelippers. Now, let me break it down for you, because this team is amazing, alright? I love it, alright? John drafted amazing. The best team by far, and I knew it would be my number one from the beginning, because he just has wall breakers, he has volt turn, he has reliable recovery, he filled out both of his cores beautifully, and the amazing thing, he drafted around Tapu Bulu so well. He filled out both his cores around Tapu Bulu, drafted great mons to support it like Uxie, which can UTAS, Sneasel, which can trap things that maybe can't break, has wall breakers on both sides, has an amazing core in Goodra, Milotic, and I think the other one is Skarmory, which I love Skarmory. I've come to love Skarmory. He has great sweepers on both sides. Infernape is also one of the best Z-Mons in format. 3 solid rock setters. The best, again, steel type in format. Multiple ways to set up almost every hazard. And he's proven to use Sigilyph extremely well in the past. So I give him that last pick really, really well. The only critique that I have on this team is that he only has one hazard remover in Skarmory, but it is one of the most reliable hazard removers, and his team isn't hazard weak. He's got, I think, 2 mons weak to hazards, and that's it. But I love this team. I love Bulu's bulky, Skarmory, Milotic, Goodra. The core is there. Porygon Z's great special wall breaker. Uxie's amazing support. Jolteon fast. He covered his speed tiers. I just love this team, Rob. I do.
I agree with you, but I do see the flaws in his team, okay? It's not like all those, you know, people who love La La Land, you know? I hate those people. It's not the greatest movie of all time, but it's amazing. It's amazing, okay? Let's see, okay. Skarmory, first of all, his only remover.
I said
when he has like really great hazard options in Scolipede, Uxie, Skarmory, Infernape, his only remover is Skarmory. And he really could have used like a ghost, first of all, to spin block, and maybe even like at least another spinner, you know? So he could keep up his own hazards without getting hazard stacked in return.
I grant you those critiques. I do. That's fair.
Okay, here I have more. Tapu Bulu is his wall breaker.
Hey, whoa, PZ and Scolipede.
PZ, I'll give you PZ, but that's it. Scolipede is a questionable hazard. I mean, wall breaker at best. Let's see. His speed tiers. I know you were loving on his speed tiers, but his team is so fast. His team is too fast. His team.
I mean, is it? You got Skarmory at 70, I believe. Goodra at like 80. PZ at 90. Sigilyph at like 91.
70 is his lowest speed tier. He's gonna. I think Slowmon will take advantage of this team and just like blast it.
Okay, that's fair.
And just blast
it's too fast. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one.
It really is too fast. But besides that, I mean, I don't have that much to complain. It's a great team.
I just think Bulu is one. I think it's honestly the best Tapu. That's not Lele, obviously. because there's no switch-ins.
Yeah, the way he supported Bulu
and
was
not to mention,
impressive.
this was one thing I love. He drafted one of the only 2 switch-ins to Tapu Bulu. He drafted Skarmory.
He drafted Skarm, yeah.
So that's just not even fair. I mean, but yeah, I love this team. I don't have more to critique about it. I gave it an A+. Rob, your grade is a time.
I'll give it an A.
All right. So I think we're going into another one we disagree on a little bit here.
Oh my god. Yes, we are.
Monotui and the Tampa Bay Luxrays. You want me to read this one off?
I'll go ahead and read it. So, Monotui,
right,
he drafted Jirachi, Buzzwole, Zygarde 50%, Roserade, Mantine, Torrent Greninja, Florges, Miltank, Alolan Golem, Salazzle, and Bisharp.
Alright, and the difference is I like this team a lot, and Rob thinks I'm an idiot, so that's the difference.
Sure.
I like it, so I'm gonna go first. That's how we've been doing it.
Go ahead.
I like Mono's team a lot because, simple enough, he has the best Fairy Dragon Steel Core in the league, by far. Zygarde's buff has easily made it one of the top 3 dragons in format. He paired it with a beautiful Wish core, Mons to support it like Roserade, Miltank, multiple Clerics, Mantine I think is underrated honestly now that it has Roost, its typing and its SpDef enable it to take HP Electrics. His speed tiers are above average based on everybody else's, base 120, base 110, a few base 100s. His lowest speed tiers are amazing, and I think Buzzwole is honestly one of the best Mons in League format. It's so hard to switch into, and it has so many good sets. Roserade deals with the bulky waters his team might struggle with, and honestly, I think one of the most underrated picks in this entire draft is Salazzle. Because with Corrosion, you can Toxic any switch-in they have to Salazzle, and that is so valuable. Like, I taught you, Rob, the value of offensive Toxic.
You did. It's pretty impressive.
Salazzle is the best offensive Toxic user in the game. I think Alolan Golem has potential. Bisharp is still a very powerful wall breaker. Again, my only complaint is his hazard removal is weak, and he doesn't have like a definitive stop to physical wall breakers. And a powerful fighting type, yes, could pose an issue to Mono's team. I recognize that. That's why I gave it a B+. I like this team. I think it's an above-average team. But you can go ahead and tell me why I'm an idiot.
Okay, I don't think you're an idiot, okay? I may have over-exaggerated before.
You don't think I'm an idiot about this team, but in general, you kind of do.
It's a team I look at, and I know it's an impressive team for someone that's not me, okay? Because I don't like this team, and it's because I couldn't play with any of these Mons. And I know Mono is that player that will be amazing with this team. But honestly, his removal is Mantine. Okay. So that's fine. Just have a good ground type, you know? His ground type gets destroyed by ice.
No, that's where I will debate you. Zygarde 50% is one of the best ground types in format.
Yeah. Switch it in on the ice move. See if it takes another one.
It's to stop electric types, and I don't think they're going to click HP Ice right away, because he does have Florges to pivot into.
He's going to get Hazard Stack this season. I can already see it.
I could see it.
He has so many hazard options, and he doesn't have a spinner. Or if you have a hazard stack team, get it. Okay, maybe he's not planning on hazard stacking, but I think his team would be amazing with a spinner and a ghost. Honestly,
yeah,
a lot better. But
good ghosts are far and few between, and spinners are even fewer between.
I have to say he was developing a bit of a fire and ice, a really big fire and ice weakness, but Miltank helps with that a lot. So
I mean, all those fire ice types out there are gonna run amok on him.
They will, or just the coverage that Mons get. Maybe that's a thing too.
Specifically fire ice Mons.
Specifically. Yeah, I have to say, Miltank might have to rely on Miltank too much, because it really, like, helps out where his weaknesses, show,
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. I grant you some of those points. I mean, I didn't say this is my favorite team. It's got a B+, though. It's very solid. So, Rob, why don't you grade Mono?
I'll give it a B-, because it's still an impressive team, yeah.
I just love his Fairy Dragon Steel Core and Buzzwole. I love it. Can't get enough of that. I can't believe we got Florges in the 7th round. That was huge.
Oh, did we even mention Jirachi's like an insane Z-Mon? It really is.
It is.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of knows that.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious.
But, we get to move on to somebody the fans will love to rip us for. Yay.
Dan, Dan's a cool dude.
Alright, so we're talking about Dan next. I don't have a problem with this team. I think it's pretty good. Rob, do you want to talk about Dan first? Read his team, maybe?
It's a team, you know? It's a
Oh, I feel you right there, my dude.
Okay, let me read it off, because I completely forgot what he drafted. Oh, Victini is back. Clefable, Terrakion, Toxapex, Gliscor, Delmise, Feraligatr, Staraptor, Steelix, Electros, Haxorus is his team this season.
I actually gave this team a B+, so unless you're going to think you'll go higher than that, I think I'm going to go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so I actually do really like this team. He's got a very good offensive Firewater Grass core. Clefable is amazing, even though with the slight T-Wave nerf. Terrakion and Victini are obviously amazing picks who synergize well with each other offensively. I think Toxapex is one of the most underrated walls in new format because it can't be set up on with Haze. It's Regenerator, which is amazing. It gets Recovery, T-Spikes. It shuts down Clef and Gliscor's counters in particularly. And, I mean, T-Spikes just look really good on Dan's team, obviously, with Victini, Staraptor. If you can wear his teams down, those two easily scarfed could sweep through entire teams. Two solid DD Dragon Dance people who can set up. I didn't know how I wanted to describe that. The first thing... Pokemon. The first thing... I have two main critiques for Dan's team. Speed tiers.
That's what I was going to get to, yeah.
Yeah, it's a common theme because Megas aren't in this version, so speed tiers are a little bit tougher to get right. So I'm not going to hit him huge on it, but it does really help your opponent's prep and allow their versatility to get better when your speed tiers are worse. And this isn't really a flaw, but I guarantee you that one of Dan's wall breakers will be a Scarfer each week.
But,
Yeah,
I mean,
AKA
he has plenty
Raptor.
of wall breakers, though.
Yeah.
He has, I mean,
Raptor.
that can be wall breakers. He has Victini, Terrakion, Delmise probably can even be a Staraptor, and Haxorus all can be wall breakers.
Yeah, but the biggest thing about Dan's team is...
Probably his limited removal,
Yes, exactly. His removal is Delmise and non-toxic heal Gliscor, which is just bad for a team with Victini and
if you want to throw him off,
Yeah, if it's just, I mean,
throwing that
you
Yachi
ran
berry.
Yachi Acro Gliscor.
Yachi Acro. Boy, and I got frozen.
I think he's going to be forced to bring Delmise a lot more and run spin on it every week. But overall, it's a very solid team. Good offense, walls, versatility, hazards, all that junk.
I mean, I'm impressed by this team. He has plenty of hazard options, and he got a spin blocker. He got a great spin blocker.
You're big on the spin blockers.
I know. I don't know why. Maybe I shouldn't be, but I am.
No. It's important. It's important. I'll give you that.
Maybe he doesn't have too many out and out walls. Maybe just Toxapex, maybe Steelix, kind of.
You don't need anything more than Toxapex and Clefable.
But overall,
I'm just
his team
be
is
honest.
very bulky. His team is super bulky, and
that's one thing I actually did want to say about this team. Another team I think could have really benefited from a good Wish Passer. Clefable's another thing similar to, what was it I said earlier, that Lottie, which is a bad Wish Passer. I think Clef is a bad Wish Passer as well.
Yeah, you don't want
another
to
team
really
I think
Wish
could
Pass
have
too much.
really benefited from a good Wish Passer.
But I think the thing to watch out for Dan this season, even though there's a lot, there's like the potential of him hazard stacking you. I think the main thing to watch out for is he's gonna sweep you with setup. He'll do it. Clefable, Terrakion, Gliscor, Feraligatr, Haxorus. He's gonna sweep some people.
Yeah, the one thing I don't understand actually made me drop Dan's grade a little lower was why he picked Terrakion as his Zmon. So, Dan, if you can explain that to me,
it helps
I think
it
Victini
beat its counters,
I suppose, but I still think Victini is one of the best Zmons again in format.
Victini
so
might have
I don't
been
understand that pick too well.
I'm not completely opposed to Terrakion. Maybe there's not an very obvious Mon that could have been his Zmon, but Terrakion's not a terrible option.
It's not, but you have a Victini. I was just curious why he didn't pick. I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah, that is true.
But I gave this team a B+. Good team, very solid, very good Mons. Rob?
I mean, looking at it now, I'll give it an A.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
he's going to be very generous today. You just don't want to get torn apart by the A-Drive army.
No, I actually like this team.
You coward.
Don't kill me.
Next up, oh my gosh, it's time, Rob. We're talking about
It's
Chimp.
Chimpin' Bros. Or
It's
whatever the
Chimpin'
fuck he
Bros.
says.
Oh my god.
I too
Philadelphia
go to
70
parties.
Scizors.
I too go to these partying
I
events.
give this team an A-. I like Chimp's draft.
I like this team. I do like this team.
I know Chimp and Envy got dug into last season on the Week 0 power rankings. I'm not going to do that to Chimp. I'm not going to say that for Envy, but I'm not going to do that to Chimp. I gave this team an A-, and all I can say is that this might be one of the most threatening offensive teams in the entire league.
It really is. It really
Kieran
is.
Black, Thundy Eye, Azu, Volcanion, Doug Trio, which can trap and kill the counters to those things. It's amazing offensively.
Jerry, you
Decent
didn't even
hazard
read off
removal.
his team.
Oh my gosh, we forgot to do it again. I'll read it. Kieran Black, Thunderous Eye, Azumarill, Fortress, Volcanion, Savali, Ditto, Doug Trio, Claydol, aka Shakomon, Alomomola, and Rotom Cut. I mean, they got animations on the screen right now. They don't need us to read it. But,
Animations.
but yeah, basically he completed both the main cores very solidly. His team has a little bit of an electric type weakness. I'm not a huge fan of Fortress as a round 3 pick, but Rob, you know how I love Alomomola.
Alomola's good. I mean, it's a full heal mon. It like full heals your Pokemon.
And he can drop, I did some calcs, he can drop 90% wishes to most of his roster, which helps make up for his rock weakness.
Damn.
I truly believe Alomomola is one of the best value picks in draft format. Just don't leave it in. That's something everybody makes the mistake. Don't leave it in. Throw up a wish, get out. But he's got Volturn into his wall breakers. He does technically get every form of hazards. I just wish he had more hazard setters, but I had to give him extra points for drafting Claydol. I said I would.
Yeah. Claydol and Fortress look pretty much essential to his team. The only problem I have with those two being his removal, which I really can't say anything because those two are my only removal in a different league. But I guess I can say something now because I've experienced. They're both really easily spun blocked.
They're very passive.
Yeah, they are very
accurate.
passive, so he might have a bit of trouble removing hazards throughout the season.
Hey, you don't even know about this Ditto transforming into a Skarmory to get rid of hazards. You aren't even ready.
I guess so.
Alright, but yeah, Thundy Eye, great Z choice. I gave this team an A-. I gotta give it up to Chimpact.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, like, I want to see someone who switches into this team.
It doesn't exist, Rob. It just doesn't.
And he has those, like, extra cores. He has, like, the normal cores, and then he has Silvally, just in case.
I think Silvally going to be really good, especially in the hands of someone like Jim.
I do want to. I'm interested to see how he's going to use it. So, I mean, this is it's a great team. Maybe a problem I have with it, which it's only a problem in certain situations, is that his only form of priority is Azumarill.
Yes, but that's very powerful priority.
Yeah, it's very powerful, and he also has Thunderous, so, there's that.
Yeah. But Rob, you want to give this team a grade, or just not do that?
I'll give it an A.
Do they speak English where you're from? A. Okay. Rob, are you ready to get destroyed by the comment section?
I like this team.
We wanted to warn you guys that this video does contain something called opinions, which,
Hey, whoa. I base these. This is completely subjective, 100% based on cool points. So.
Oh my gosh.
This is 0% opinion, 100% fact.
We have to talk about MV.
MV.
As you can see, comments don't go just yet. I gave it a D+.
It's a plus.
It's a plus, you know.
It's a plus.
I gave MV a D+, specifically for a few reasons. Now, I know this happened last season. Like, somebody's gonna be real smart in the comments, think, oh yeah, MV was ranked basically last season, and he went to finals. I know that.
It's true, Jarrett, you asshole.
But we're ranking off of the draft, and if you objectively look at these teams, MV has the second worst draft.
Well, Jarrett, you're just wrong.
Lando T is not a round 1 pick in my opinion. Pelipper is definitely not a round 2 pick. I'm not saying they're bad mons, I just don't know. Bad MV, do not take them in the first 2
Lando
rounds.
T might have been gone if you didn't pick it,
He was towards the back end, I don't think so.
Pelipper definitely wouldn't have been.
I don't see a distinguishable defensive core, and his team is so weak to fast electric types. It's ridiculous.
It really is.
I don't understand Magnezone on this team because it's good, but he doesn't really struggle with steel types. And the only steel type on his team would maybe struggle with is Celesteela, but Celesteela arguably beats Magnezone unless it's Air Balloon or Shuka. I think he needed Volt Turn on this team, and he didn't get a fast electric type, which is so good in Rain. Like Heliolisk would have fit this team a lot better.
Yeah, something I found funny is he has a Rain team, yet somehow his team is still really weak to Ice.
Yeah, the biggest thing with this team I just couldn't wrap my head around was that he drafted a Rain team and failed to address some of the key things Rain teams struggle with, like grass and electric types.
Yeah, I mean, like, fast electric types with HP Ice are just gonna, like, demolish.
They're gonna actually just shit on Envy. I'm sure he'll run a berry or something, but you never know. I think coaches at this point have adapted to berries and expect them. But you never know with Envy and Rain. I would have drafted Politoed just because no 4x weakness on your Rain setter is nicer. But what do I know? I'm gonna get torn in the comments. Rob, do you want to do anything?
With it's kind of like the classic trope of people who draft Empoleon is that his team relies a lot on Empoleon.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like it's one of his it's one of his hazard setters, which he has 3. Lando T, I don't know if it's your first round draft how you want to use it, but I wouldn't always use it as he has Amistar, which I don't know if it's always brought to every game, but again, Empoleon would be that one I would see as his hazard setter, but also his removal, unless he's Pelippers is solid removal, but it's also weak to rocks.
Unless you want to catch an HP electric on your Rain team. I just don't see a defensive core, and that really bugs me. I don't see offensive synergy. I see Rain, and I see a team that's super electric weak. That's about it. Bolt Beam.
Empoleon, Alolan Muck looks like his defensive core. Although I do have to say, he does have a really bulky team. He has a really bulky team.
Yeah, nothing's frail necessarily, I guess. So I gave it a D+. Comments, be nice.
I want to give it higher because he has. He has a lot of Volt Turn.
You're a gigantic wuss if you rank this above a C.
He has a lot of Volt Turn, which it's great for a Rain team. He has like a ton of priority, and he has a lot of ways to set up, which is really cool. So, solid Rain team?
No, not in my opinion.
He might have to rely on Rain too much, so I'll give it C+.
Alright.
C+.
You're a giant wuss. This video is already getting a little long, so we should hurry it along. But we're almost done.
Yeah.
So next up, team I'm going for, the Utah Jasmine. And I just want to say, Cooper...
The Coop.
You could have done so much better. You really could have.
He started off really impressively, to be fair.
He started off amazingly.
The rest of his draft happened.
You just slowly heard like the slide whistle hitting lower and lower notes.
Every round we were just like, no. Why?
Okay.
This could have been the greatest team of all time.
It really could. Rob, this is how much I knew he could have done better. I went through, looked at the picks, and like you could have taken looked at the draft board, and I was like, if he'd have taken this, or I put together a better plan for him. But his first 4 picks are amazing. They have great synergy offensively, defensively. This core is extremely hard to break. I don't even mind Breloom and Darm that much. They can be good, but the one thing I'll say to Cooper, don't lean on Scarf Darm, Life Orb, Belly Drum, Bulk Up. All of these can sweep teams. I don't hate Scrafty, but I don't think it's very good. I love Klefki. You know about that. It looks like a team I would have drafted with Klefki in his first 4 picks, honestly. I don't like how he picked up another. Is Comfey his only fairy? I think it is his. Is it his only fairy? No, he has keys. I don't know why he picked up Comfey. I don't. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
to me.
I was looking at his team. It's really. I just don't know where it fits into his team.
It's just not versatile. Swellow is good. Gave him some speed, but his speed tiers are a little shaky, and he's not going to bring his last pick every single week. Large speed gaps in this team. I think he should have grabbed some speed instead of Breloom and Darm. If he'd have gotten 2 offensive threats, which were still there, in Mienshao and Gengar over Breloom and Darm.
Or maybe even just draft like a really nice, maybe Haxorus would have been nice. He doesn't have a dragon. Haxorus would have been cool.
Yeah, and if he'd have taken something like a setup sweeper like Haxorus over
Klefki
Scrafty,
would have been even better.
This team could have been easily top 5. Zap and Hippo hate Toxic. He drafted around that really well.
Wait,
with
he
Reunion
drafted Scrafty while Haxorus was still around? Or no?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Haxorus went in the last round. He took Scrafty in like the 7th.
Scrafty's not good.
If he'd have drafted like instead of Comfey, Haxorus or Flygon, come on, man. I think his draft started great, and it ended bad. I'm just gonna be honest. He could have done better. Not to mention most of his mons are relatively one-dimensional. So that's all I got for Cooper. I gave it a B. Decent team. He started so beautifully, and it just slide whistle all the way down.
I want to mention his speed tiers because I can't tell if this is good speed tiers or bad speed tiers.
They're not good, Rob.
He has massive groups. He has 3 massive groups of speed tiers.
And Swallow.
A bunch, yeah, and Swallow. He has a bunch at 40, like a bunch at 70, and a bunch at 100, and then Swallow.
It's not good. That's exactly the kind of thing that lets your opponents run adamant, modest, versatility increase.
Yeah, so
it's exactly what you want to avoid when getting speed tiers.
Darmanitan looks like it will be his wall breaker this season.
Yeah. Yeah.
I honestly, I'm not a big fan of Breloom. I'm not. But it gives him.
I'm not either.
It gives him really nice priority. So there's
Spore,
Spore.
Spore. I think he wanted too badly to complete the Fire Water Grass core.
He has great forms of setup. So there's that.
I just can't understand why he took Comfey over the dragons that were available. Flygon went undrafted. Haxorus.
Yeah, Comfey seems too much like a
Cooper. I would heavily consider dropping Comfey for Flygon, because I think Flygon went undrafted, and I know it's another base 100, but it gives you a D-Dance sweeper, which is nice.
Yeah. So there's.
But yes, this team has some problems. So I gave it a B. Rob, what are you going with? We gotta start wrapping this up.
Okay, I'll give it a C plus.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, maybe I'm too caught up in the Reuniclus Zapdos Hippo mana feed. But
okay,
we're moving on.
Now that you said that, I'll give it a B minus.
You conforming, whatever. We're moving on to the returning champion for GBA. Gonna be hard to insult this guy, George, aka Septile MC.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
I didn't know where you were going with. I didn't know if you were saying his team name or his.
No, George, Septile MC. His team consists of Mew, Garchomp, Togekiss, Raikou, Registeel, Suicune, Superior, Mienshao, Volcarona, Drapion, and Exploud. First thing, slow clap for the man with the guts to draft Volcarona. I gave this team an A. I can't go against George. He filled out both of his cores extremely well, supported them beautifully with mons like Mew and Drapion. He's got the best Z-Mon in format in Mew, even though it doesn't have Immunium Z. Dangerous setup sweepers with Mew, Garchomp, Volcarona, and Suicune. Very solid Volt Turn. He has Wall Breakers, which is nice in Mienshao. Reckless High Jump Kick, which basically 2-hit KOs everything. Regenerator, Fake Out, Exploud, one of the most dangerous special monsters in the game. It's not really lacking anything just because Mew can fit any role this team needs, and he didn't necessarily shove Mew into a single role, which I really like.
Maybe the one area I would go with that is his removal, because besides that he has Togekiss.
Yeah,
but
those are 2 very solid removers.
It is, but I don't know if he's gonna want to use either of them as removers, seeing as what they do, and that'll make him a bit harder to use Volcarona this season. So
true. He lacks reliable recovery. This is my critiques of his team. He lacks reliable recovery is a big thing for me. We've made a lot of points about speed tiers. George isn't really an exception. Base no mon above base 115. But he does have 6 mons above base 100, so that's kind of where you see that speed gap shrink again. I just like Volturn into Exploud and Mienshao if I'm looking at it, honestly. I'd watch out for George again this season. He's looking like another big threat.
Yeah, I think the area his opponents will exploit is he has a really big ground weakness, and along with that, maybe not just a pure ground weakness, but because it does hurt a lot of his team, an Edgequake weakness mostly.
Yes, that's a fair point. Edgequake does do quite a bit of work to George's team. Because I would give you that.
I don't know if defensive superiors
It's more about defensive Mew is the reason I didn't really short George for it.
Yeah,
He kind of looking at that, I could see Mew getting shoved into more of a defensive role this season. But Garchomp takes on Edgequake okay if it's the bulky variant. Yeah, I still give it an A. I'm going to stand by all my rankings.
I'll give it an A-.
Okay, so that's George. Moving on, another part of Chimp MV's crew, we got Gator, the Florida Gators.
Gator, a newcomer to the league.
Yes, very creative. I gave Gator, I'm just going to get shredded. I gave Gator a C overall for his team. You should read this one, Rob. I think I read the last two.
All right. Yeah, I'm not sure I was a big fan of this team either. Let me go see which mons he drafted. He indeed drafted. Scroll down the page.
God damn it, Rob.
He drafted Zeladios, Heatran, Mamoswine, Galvantula, Pukamuku. Sure, I nailed that one. Whimsicott, Heracross, Diggersby, Komala, Doublade, and Halusha. So
yeah. So I don't really like this team. Rob, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, I mean, a few things I can say about his team. He drafted Webs. He has a team that does well with Webs, and he has Doublade, so a spin blocker. A spin blocker. That's what it is. His B tiers are really weird. Again, with like what Cooper has. Was it Cooper?
Yeah, the groups of Pokemon.
He has 3 groups. He has groups around 110, 80, and 0. His team is pretty frail. He has a overall really frail team. His wall core, Heatran? His wall core is Heatran. Maybe Doublade, but then, ground types.
Pikachu!
I mean, he has a lot of setup.
It's a weird team.
He has a lot of setup and Volt Turn, so that could work out really well. Maybe not with setup, but that can work out separately. But it's a weird team. It's a weird team.
I just have a few problems with this team.
Go ahead.
Mainly. It's centered around Mons I just don't think are very good in format. Heatran, Pukamuku, most of his walls don't have recovery. He has a very weak Wish Passer in Komala.
Komala is
Webs
also... That's another thing I wanted to get on. Komala looks like it might be too essential on his team. It's his spinner. It's his Wish Passer. It's... Unless he wants to use Latios, of course, but that's also his Zmon, so I don't really see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Komala might be too essential, especially if he wants to, with the webs and whatnot.
I give him credit for Mamo, Diggersby plus Webs, but they share a lot of common weaknesses. His only good special attacker is Latios and Heatran. Heatran and Latios are both pretty well dealt with in League format. Latios by pursuit, Heatran by ground coverage.
Yeah, it looks like offensive waters will kind of tear through his team.
I honestly feel like he drafted this like it was the OU ladder, and it's just not going to fly in League format.
Yeah, might not.
I just don't see his team working that well without Webs up. Only one really decent revenge killer in Hawlucha. A lot of his mons are very one-dimensional, and it lacks powerful setup like speed and another stat. So I don't think his opponents will be scared of switching around, which is really dangerous.
I disagree with that because he does have he has Latios. He has Heracross.
Like I said, he lacks powerful setup like speed and another stat.
Heracross Diggersby?
That's 2 setup moves. I'm talking like Dragon Dance, Quiver Dance, something like that.
I was talking about like
you're talking like Dual Dance and Lottie, which gets Dragon Dance, but it's not that good without its Mega.
C move.
But I gave it a C. Rob, what are you thinking?
I mean, I don't. C plus. C.
Oh,
okay, no C.
Okay.
I'll give it a C. Never mind.
Stop conforming. All right, so Rob's giving it a D plus.
I'm a conformer.
Nope, it's going on the sheet as a D plus.
D plus. Okay.
All right, next we're moving on to another newcomer this season, and a team I really, really like, Callum and the Alolan Athletics.
Oh yeah, this is like he took this is what I think he did. He took a sheet of everything you should do in a league draft to have a very good team, and he checked off all of them.
He checked off his boxes one by one. I don't think he got sniped this whole draft. I really don't.
Doesn't look like it. No.
It looks like he got everything he wanted. Rob, read it off.
He has. Let us see. He has Excadrill, Tyranitar, Rotomwash, Shaman, Crobat, Emboar, Dredagon, Aromatisse, Sableye, Snorlax, and Espeon.
All right, so here's the thing. I give this team a B+. I almost want to give it an A- looking back on it because it's just so good. He checked off his boxes.
He really did.
It has everything we ask for: a firewater grass core. Every mon can be either offensive or defensive.
I'm a fan of. I am a fan of.
Yeah, he is a bulky, mediocre Fairy Dragon Steel Core. Sand, but I don't think Sand is that good in format. I've never seen it work too well.
But I mean, it doesn't hurt to just throw it on there.
Yeah,
I got a Sand team.
His speed tiers are really good, although I don't see him bringing Espeon. One thing I've discovered, Espeon doesn't fit a lot of teams you'll bring in League-type format.
Yeah, Espeon, I have to agree. It's not great, but it also fills... A lot of the mons he has fills out like a mental role in your opponent's team building. Like Espeon, you might not want to bring Hazards. He has a Sand team that no doubt everyone will prepare for. He has a Sableye, people don't like dealing with that thing.
Here's the thing with Mike. Here's my two critiques. This is why I bumped Callan down. His speed tiers besides Shaman and his fast mons are terrible. Everything else is slow as hell. He's got good rockers, few good hazard removal, very solid setup sweeping, bulky setup sweeping, has wish support. But the big thing is, this was a huge thing for me. And this is not something that's really common, but it just lacks a fast mon that's impossible to switch into. Like, he has Emboar and T-Tar, which are impossible to switch into, but they're not fast, they're easily revenge killable.
Well, I don't know, a lot of teams don't have that, I mean...
Yeah, but he has Bat and Drill, but both of them have a very solid amount of counters. It's definitely an amazing solid team, and it's definitely like top 6, top 5, maybe even in my opinion. But it's just, I know we're not supposed to go by coaches, but it's just Callum's inexperience makes me question to his team's ability to whether or not he can use all the versatility on this team to its fullest ability. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily...
I don't know, I like his... I mean, looking at it now, I like it better than Tup's team.
Okay, dude, he got everything we asked for.
It fills my OCD, bad. I don't.
Yeah, I just B+. I'm sticking with my original grades on this. It's just I don't like Sand. He did everything really well, but it's just that speed gap between his high and low is really bugging me, and just the fact that fast, really, really hard to switch an offensive mon is just not there.
Yeah. I'll go with
that's it.
I mean, I'm gonna give it an A. I like.
I don't blame you. It's a very, very solid team. Callum drafted well.
I can't find flaws with. I can't find too many flaws.
It was tough for me to find flaws. It came down to the speed gap in the offense. But we're going on to our last two teams. Second to last is the Free State Torracats and Duncan Knee Deep. Duncan is rocking Weavile, Alolan Marowak, Landorus Incarnate, Keldeo, Celebi, Mandibuzz, Metagross, Granbull, Alolan Ninetales, Torkoal, and Venusaur. This team was a little bit easier for me to critique. I ended up giving it a B-, yes. So, this team's offense is very good, hard to switch into, very generic. His team is very weak to rocks. I counted 5 rock weaknesses and only 1 remover who is weak to rocks. I love Mandibuzz in format, but it leans on This team, in my opinion, leans on Mandibuzz so much. That's the biggest problem for me.
Come on, Torkoal fills all those roles. What are you talking about?
Yeah, rock weakness and remover. He doesn't have a wall to pair with Mandibuzz or Wish Passer that it pairs with a bulky offense. It leans on Mandibuzz too hard. I like his offense a lot. It's very hard to switch into. I don't like Lando Eye in the 3rd round. I think it can definitely be a good offensive monster without Sheer Force. I just think he could have waited on it. Celebi subpar in format, even though it's extremely versatile. He's really hurting one of his best offensive mons in Keldeo by even tempting Sun. I feel like it was more just thrown in to build synergy with his team. His speed tiers are pretty...
I don't mind it too much because he obviously doesn't... It's his last mons.
Last 2 picks, yeah.
And it's really good for your opponent to see that. You're like, oh, I have to deal with a growth...
it's kind of like drafting Stoutland in the last round. It's just that one extra thing they have to maybe prepare for.
So there's that. Maybe, like, he's going to have trouble wall breaking. I don't know how great Lando Eye without Sheer Force will be.
Weavile Alola Whack can wall break pretty well on their
that's
own.
the thing. I don't know if he's gonna want to use Alolan Marowak as a wall breaker or Marowak. I mean, Weavile as a wall breaker either. I mean,
I give him credit though. He filled out his cores pretty nicely. The big thing for me was just the fact that I really think this team leans on Mandibuzz so much. And I think this is another team that just could have benefited from a Wish Passer. You got Celebi, Metagross, Granbull, Alola Whack, mons that are very bulky but just don't get like solid recovery. Celebi gets synthesis, but it's Celebi, like I said, subpar in format. It's a nice rocker, though. It's not a bad team. I just I found a few flaws with it defensively, and you know how much defensive flaws make me put teams lower.
Yeah, his team also looks like it has a bit of a offensive flying weakness.
Yeah.
A bit of that. Although he does have Weavile and Metagross, but
he is very weak to bird spam. Looking back on it, bird spam is going to hurt.
Bird spam will hurt, but Weavile as a Zmon, what do you think of that?
Not bad. I like Weavile as a Zmon. I've Zmoned it in a league that I'm in right now. Poison Jab, Low Kick, it gets coverage good enough to be run as a Zmon.
Yeah, I don't see what else he would have chosen. Maybe Celebi would have been my other choice. Mind it. But yeah, Weavile's nice.
Maybe Landorus Eye. That thing gets really good coverage. But yeah, that is it for Duncan. So, Rob, I gave it a B-. What are you going to give it?
Honestly, this is one of those teams I really just don't know, so I'm going to give it a B-.
All right. The big thing for me is it leans on Mandibuzz so much, in my opinion. He's going to bring it every single week. Shut up. He's going to bring it every single week, and it's just going to get worn down. But we get to move on to our last team, finally. We've been doing this video forever. But that is Crimson,
Not
who had the
literally
wheel pick.
Forever, but...
Oh, Rob, you got me again.
Zingers.
But Crimson Seabad and the Detroit Steel Wings. I give this team a C.
Yes. Go ahead.
Another one of my lower teams. I believe he drafted Tornadus, Therian, Sylveon, Entei, Crocodile, Slowking, Serena, Kyurem, Cobalion, Skuntank, Magneton, and Oricorio. A few problems. It has flaws. It's not necessarily bad, but it definitely has flaws. His speed tiers are just bad. 2 Mons over base 100. Cobalion isn't an offensive threat without SD even, so...
I mean, you say these speed tiers are bad. I think you're only looking for fast Mons.
The fastest Mon is a big part of speed tiers, in my opinion, though. The fastest
it's
Mon.
More that it's... I think his speed tiers aren't the greatest thing on earth, but he has, he fills out all the
Remember, Entei isn't a base 100 because it's going to run E-Speed almost every week it's brought.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true, but it's kind of like he has the solid distances between each speed, you know?
Yeah. He filled out both defensive cores nicely, but here's a big problem with this team, in my opinion. He has Entei and Kyurem, and his best hazard removal is Serena.
He's Skuntank.
His best hazard removal is Serena.
What do you have against Skuntank? It's not bad.
No, I don't have a lot against Skuntank, actually. It's not bad. I
like Serena. I like it. It's just going to run Rapid Spin every week.
Subpar hazard removal, in my opinion. Both of his removals are very easily killed in format.
I like Serena. I don't know. He gets U-turn.
They're both really slow. He's got pretty good Wish support. I'll give him that. I do love Wish support, but I just don't see the defensive synergy. He's got 2 months with reliable recovery.
His Fairy Dragon Steel Core is pretty much if he's planning on bringing that, it's pretty much destroyed by Fire types, which is unfortunate.
The biggest problem I have with cores is how I like to do it personally. Is I like to get one of my cores defensive and one of them offensive. He's got a weird mix. Like his fairies mixed, I suppose, more defensive. His steel type and dragon are offensive. His grass type is defensive. His water type is defensive, but his fire type is very offensive. I don't like Oricorio. Another thing, it's just weird to me. I'm not a huge fan of this team.
I don't
know why.
I don't know what I feel about Crocodile being a Zmon. I mean,
yeah, that's another problem I have. Why not Entei or Tornadus Therian? I don't understand a lot of the Z choices.
Tornadus Therian would have been my choice, but Crocodile does help it beat its counters. I don't know if you wanted it. Crocodile already does enough for this team, in my opinion. I don't know if you should have thrown a Z on it as well, just to limit it that much more in your eyes.
Yeah,
you know?
I honestly don't see this defensive core working, if I'm going to be honest with you. He just doesn't have anything that's super bulky. I mean, every wall on this team has a pretty glaring weakness. That's a huge problem. So as a stall player, that's something I really struggle with ranking it higher. I don't see the defensive core working out for this team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It will be interesting. His wall breakers, Kyurem, Entei, Crocodile?
Yeah.
I said, Crocodile does a lot.
You've got experience with all these Mons, Rob.
I do. I've used a lot of these. Magneton, Between Magneton and Tornadus, I think that'll be pretty interesting as a Volturn core.
This team's, like we said, like one thing we want to say when rounding this off, so none of these teams are necessarily bad, except you, Steve. Your team is bad. But there's a lot of things that these teams do that are similar to them. It's about how the coaches play. Remember, this is just off of teams, so even though we rank somebody like MV with a D+, it's still a pretty safe bet to bet MV's going to win some games this season, I'd say. So, Rob, I think we're done. We got all 16 teams, finally.
That was very
long.
I think we did good. I think we did good. At first we were a bit shaky, but you know, we got into the flow, and we'll see how the rest of this season turns out.
So
it's gonna be an exciting season.
If you guys are crazy enough to want to watch us next week when we do Week 1 power rankings, be sure to check those out. But for now, I think we're signing off. You got all our rankings. Leave us the rankings you thought every team deserved in the comment section below. I already know there's going to be like 5 comments saying, MV got an A+. It's so good.
Whoa. MV got an A++.
Right. But yeah, leave your comments down below. Rob, I think we're going to sign off. Take the outro.
Outro.
All right, this is a sign off. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.